Hello friends, this is Devpriya and you are welcome to Nunya Sir's English classes. Today we'll continue with our chapter that is drainage. It is third chapter of geography book of grade 9. In our previous video we studied about drainage system in India and drainage patterns. Today we'll cover the topic the Himalayan rivers. Under this we'll study the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. So let's start with the river Indus. Now in the given picture we'll be able to see that this is the river Indus. In second picture we can see that this is the flowing path or course of river Indus. Now let's study it in detail. The Indus river system. So the Indus river is rising in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar. In Tibet, China, one lake is there that is Mansarovar Lake. In east to Mansarovar Lake, Indus river is rising in Tibet. After that, it enters India from Ladakh. After rising in Tibet, the Indus river is entering India from Ladakh. After entering, it is joined by the tributaries such as the Jaskar, the Nurba, the Shyok and the Hunjam. After entering into the river Indus is joined by many tributaries. You know what are tributaries? The small streams which join the main stream are known as the tributaries. So the river Indus is joined by many tributaries such as the Jaskar, the Nurba, the Shyok and the Hunjam. Further flowing from Baltistan and Gilgit. After that is flowing through Baltistan and Gilgit, the river Indus. After that, it is again joined by many tributaries such as the Satluj, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Jhelum. And all these tributaries, they are joining river Indus at Mithankot, which is in Pakistan. Now here, we can focus that the river Satluj, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Jhelum. We have studied these 4-5 rivers in our previous chapter, that was the physical features of India, and these rivers are forming the Punjab plain with river Indus. So all these rivers are joining the river Indus. They are tributing their water, they are giving their water to river Indus at Mithankot in Pakistan. Flowing southwards, Indus finally drains into Arabian Sea. In our previous video, we studied some differentiating points between Himalayan and peninsular rivers. In that one, similarity was there. That most of Himalayan and peninsular rivers, they are flowing towards east. But in both the rivers, both the Himalayan and peninsular rivers, 1-2 exceptions were there. And in Himalayan rivers, Indus was an exception. So rest of the rivers or the most of Himalayan rivers, they are flowing towards east, but the river Indus, it is flowing towards west and it is draining its water into Arabian Sea. So what we have studied about the river Indus, that it is rising in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar, east of Lake Mansarovar. After that it enters India from Ladakh. After entering into India, it is joined by many tributaries such as the Jaskar, the Nurba, the Shyok and the Hunjam. After that it is flowing through Baltistan and Gilgit. Next, Indus is joined by Satluj, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Jhelum, and these all rivers are forming the Punjab plain. They all are joining or tributing their water to river Indus at Mithankot, which is in Pakistan. After flowing towards southwards, Indus is finally draining its water into Arabian Sea. Now in our book, some do you know facts are also there, in that the total length of river Indus is 2900 kilometers. Major part is flowing in Pakistan. We have to remember that it is rising in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar, flowing through India and Pakistan. Finally, it is draining its water into Arabian Sea. Major part of river Indus is flowing in Pakistan. We are only using 20% of Indus water. Major part is flowing in Pakistan. Now, do you know fact that Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960? Next is the Ganga river system. In the given picture, we can see that this is river Ganga near river Yamuna. This is river Ganga. So further carrying water from its left and right bank tributaries, the Ganga flows towards east. Now what are left and right bank tributaries? When tributaries, they are joining the main stream from left side or left bank, they are known as left bank tributaries. And when they are joining the main stream from right side, they are known as right bank tributaries. So the river Ganga, it is carrying water from both left and right bank tributaries, and it is flowing towards east. Farakka is the easternmost point of Ganga in West Bengal. In West Bengal, the last point, or we can say the easternmost point of river Ganga is Farakka point. After that, it enters into Bangladesh, and in Bangladesh, river Ganga is known as the Padma river, and its main stream further flows south and joins river Brahmaputra. After flowing towards south, the river Ganga or the river Padma is joining the river Brahmaputra, and both the Brahmaputra and the river Ganga, they are mighty rivers. They are very big and large rivers, so they both are known as Meghna. River Ganga and river Brahmaputra, they both are known as Meghna. We study that Ganga river, it is carrying water from its left and right bank tributaries, and after that it is flowing towards east. In that, Farakka is the easternmost point in West Bengal. After that, it is entering into Bangladesh, and in Bangladesh it is known as Padma. Flowing southwards, it is joining river Brahmaputra, and both the rivers, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, they are known as Meghna. These rivers form the Sundarban Delta. Which rivers? The Brahmaputra and the Ganga. They both form the Sundarban Delta. Now Sundarban Delta, it derived its name from Sundari tree. Now see this given picture. One tree, we can say this is the Sundari tree. Half of its part is under the water, and rest part we can see above the water. This is Sundari tree, and Sundarban Delta has derived its name from Sundari tree. It is world's largest and fastest growing delta. Sundarban Delta is world's largest and fastest growing delta. This is the given picture. These are the Ganga and the Brahmaputra river, and this is Sundarban Delta. It is very large, we can see. Now the river Ganga, length of river Ganga is 2500 kilometers. Ambala to Sundarban fall in slope of 300 meters, and with that it forms meanders. In our previous video, we studied about drainage patterns, and one of the drainage pattern was dendritic pattern. And in dendritic pattern, river is resembling like a tree, branches of tree, and it is forming meanders. And we took one example, that river Ganga. River Ganga is flowing in dendritic pattern only. So Ambala to Sundarban, Ambala which is in Haryana to Sundarban Delta, slope of 300 meters is there. In that, river Ganga is flowing, and with that it is forming meanders. It is flowing in curvy way, so it is forming meanders, and after that it is resembling like a tree branches, or it is forming dendritic pattern. So both the rivers, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, they form the Sundarban Delta, and Sundarban Delta has derived its name from Sundari tree. Sundarban Delta is the world's largest and fastest growing delta. Length of river Ganga is 2500 kilometers. Ambala to Sundarban, it fall in slope of 300 meters, and with that it is forming meanders. And the river Ganga is example of dendritic pattern. The last is the Brahmaputra river system. Given picture, we are able to see one blue line is there. This is only the Brahmaputra river system or the Brahmaputra river. So now let's study it in detail. The Brahmaputra river system. Brahmaputra river rises in Tibet, east of Mansarovar Lake. In Indus river, we studied that it is also rising in Tibet, but it rises west of Mansarovar Lake. So here we can say that Mansarovar Lake is acting as a water divide. Now what is water divide? When uplifted area, it divides the water into two sides, or it divides the rivers in two sides, that is known as the water divide. Now here Mansarovar Lake, Indus river is flowing west of Mansarovar Lake and Brahmaputra river is flowing east of Mansarovar Lake. So here we can say that Mansarovar Lake is acting as a water divide. So Brahmaputra river, it is also rising in Tibet like the river Indus, but it is rising it east of Mansarovar Lake, whereas the river Indus is rising west of Mansarovar Lake, and here Mansarovar Lake is acting as a water divide. Slightly longer than the Indus, and most of its course lies outside India. Brahmaputra river is slightly longer than the river Indus. The length of river Indus, we studied that it was 2,900 kilometers, so it is slightly longer than the river Indus, and most of its course lies outside India, same as the course of river Indus is also lying outside India. So the course of the Brahmaputra river and the river Indus, it is lying outside India, most of its course, not all course. From Namcha Barwa, it takes U-turn and enters India in Arunachal Pradesh. Brahmaputra river from Namcha Barwa, it is taking U-turn. In the picture we can say these are the Himalayan mountains. We remember in our previous chapter we have studied physical features of India. So these are Himalayan mountains, and from Namcha Barwa, Brahmaputra river is taking U-turn. Now why the name is here U-turn? In the picture we can say the Brahmaputra river, it is forming U shape, a shape like U letter. So name is given U-turn, and after turning or making U-turn, it enters India in Arunachal Pradesh. So Brahmaputra river is taking U-turn in Namcha Barwa and it enters India in Arunachal Pradesh. Here it is known as Dihang. After entering into India, here it is known as Dihang, and it is joined by other tributaries such as the Dibang and the Lohit. Don't get confused between the name Dihang and Dibang. They both are different. Dibang is one of the tributaries which is joining the river Dihang. So tributaries such as Dibang and the Lohit, etc., they are joining the river Dihang. Now volume of water in river varies in Tibet and India. The volume of water is not same in Tibet and India. It varies in Tibet and India. It may be large volume, or in Tibet it may be less water in the river, or the volume may be less in India. So it is not equal or same. It varies in Tibet and India. So Brahmaputra river, it is rising in Tibet east of Mansarovar Lake, whereas the river Indus, it is rising west of Mansarovar Lake, and between these two rivers, Mansarovar Lake is acting as a water divide. The Brahmaputra river is slightly longer than the Indus, and most of its course lies outside India, like the river Indus. From Namcha Barwa, the Brahmaputra river is taking U-turn and it enters into India in Arunachal Pradesh. Here it is known as Dihang. The river Brahmaputra is known as Dihang. And next it is joined by many tributaries such as the Dibang, the Lohit, etc. Many more are there. Here we have just taken example of two, the Dibang and the Lohit. Now volume of water in river varies in Tibet and India. It is not same. Volume of water is not same in Tibet and India. It is different. Now in Brahmaputra river also some points are remaining, that is entering in India, Brahmaputra carries a large amount of water and silt. After entering into India, the Brahmaputra river is carrying a large amount of water, and with that large amount of water, it is also having a large amount of silt and sand, and they both large amount of water and silt, they form a riverine island. The silt which is carried by Brahmaputra river itself, it is deposited in the center or in river Brahmaputra, and it is forming an island. Island is a piece of land which is covered with water from all four sides, and since it is formed in river, so the name is given riverine island. The riverine island which is formed in Brahmaputra river is Majuli riverine island, and Majuli riverine island is world's largest riverine island which is in river Brahmaputra. One image is also given. This is Majuli riverine island, and this is bed of river Brahmaputra. We can see looking like an ocean. So entering in India, Brahmaputra carries a large amount of water and silt. When that silt or sand they are deposited in river, they are forming riverine island, and Majuli is the riverine island which is in Brahmaputra river, and it is world's largest riverine island. Now also the river overflows its banks, causing widespread devastation due to floods in Assam and Bangladesh. Now sometimes floods are also coming in rivers. So when flood is coming, the river Brahmaputra, it overflows its banks, and with that it is causing a widespread devastation in Assam and Bangladesh. The Brahmaputra is marked by huge deposits of silts on its bed, causing the river bed to rise. We studied now only that the river Brahmaputra, after entering into India, it is having a large amount of water. With that, a large amount of silt and sand is also there. So because of the large amount of silt, the riverbed of the river Brahmaputra is rising. So it is marked by huge deposits of silts on its bed, causing the riverbed to rise. So that's all for today. Today we have completed the topic the Himalayan rivers. Under that we studied the river Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. In our upcoming videos we will cover rest of our subtopics. Till then, bye bye, take care.